Hello there, and welcome to the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. Along with Lily Zhao, I'm Brandon Cruz. Tim Van Vorn en route to Vegas, but he will be making an appearance, I promise. Here's our starting lineup tonight on the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. Now that the Brewers season is over, we look ahead to what's next for Craig Counsell, the lineup, and a whole lot more. The Bucks get to work with all of the hype surrounding this season. Jer Alexander makes us say what, and we get you ready for Monday Night Football between the Packers and the Raiders, and we finish up with our high school hotshot.
Being in a small market and being a consistent winner and having a good competitive team every year that is either in the playoffs or you know, we missed it by one game last year. It's tough to do, and he's a huge reason why this place is like that now, and he's built a great culture here, and yeah, I love playing for him. I hope that continues.
You know, I thought about it, but hopefully not. Hopefully that he stay with us, but also, you know, he probably, we don't know anything, but hopefully that we keep him, and because he's great as a person, as a manager, and, you know, as everything.
A solemn Brewers clubhouse on Wednesday night when they got bounced from the playoffs at the hands of the Diamondbacks. Right there, you hear those players talking about Craig Counsell, what he means to them, what he means to this organization, their hopes for the future. And Lily, you were in there with those guys that night. Why is he so important to them?
I think he's been there for so long, but I think he relates to them so well. Again, he's such a good manager, but I think with both those guys' emphasis, but he was a better person. He's a great father, a great manager, but again, just a good coach and a good person. I think that's why he resonates so well with this clubhouse. And, you know, I asked Christian Yelich that question. He was emotional. I mean, he was getting teary-eyed after talking about Craig Counsell and what he means to this team. I mean, he's been managing the Brewers since 2015, 5 playoff appearances in his tenure. And again, just such a high character guy, Brandon, that everyone loves him and they love playing for him. I think that's why they would want him back. But again, I know it's his decision, but that's why he means so much to this clubhouse.
So it's not just X's and O's. We're not just seeing these 5 playoff appearances. It goes much deeper than that. Why is he able to connect so closely with each and every one of these guys? I
think just because he's a Wisconsin guy, he has roots here in the state. You know, his kids play baseball, and again, he's just been with the organization for so long that he gets it. And you saw the record there that manager Craig Counsell has. I think it's just his rapport and his ability just to be kind of a player's manager per se. I think, you know, he bounces off very well with the guys in the clubhouse, and every single player had such a good thing to say about, or good things to say about manager Craig Counsell. So I think he relates just on a personal level. I think you have to have that to be a great manager, and he certainly does. And, you know, whether or not he does come back next year or not, maybe he takes a year off, it'll be a big change for this Brewers organization if he is not back. But I think if he does come back and he makes that decision to manage again, I think that'll be a big boost for this clubhouse. And we are talking about that because his contract is up now that the season is over. The Brewers are trying to address that. A source tells me that they are getting closer to a deal to bring him back, but we'll see how that works because that is not anything that is written in stone at this point. In fact, rumors that he could be going to New York with David Stearns and the Mets. Now, talking about free agency, there are a number of players that the Brewers brought in this year. They got them over the hump and helped them win their division. You have Carlos Santana. You have Mark Canha. Those 2 guys were key players to get this team to win their division. Do they bring either or both of these guys back, in your opinion? That's a great question. I think when you're looking at the duo, I would say maybe Mark Canha might have the edge there in terms of being brought back just for the amount of offense he was able to bring in 2 months with the Brewers. I think Carlos Santana, what he was able to do at first base, has also been very valuable. You know, with Rowdy Tellez kind of on the bench per se. But I think those 2 guys, I think it would be a big boost if they do bring them back. And I think Mark Canha has adjusted so well to life in Milwaukee. And his family loves it here as well, along with Carlos Santana. So those guys would be big pickups. I know they're on the older age scale per se in the major leagues, but just 2 high character guys that provided such a big boost when this team needed it. Yeah, and as you mentioned with Canha, he did issue a statement via social media saying how much he loved it here, how much he loved the fans, and how much he wants to come back. So he kind of threw it out there to see if Matt Arnold might be able to work out a deal to bring Mark Canha back. Now, there are some future free agents that might
play a role in this offseason, the biggest name there being Corbin Burnes. He is under contract for next season, but after that, he is a free agent. Does he stay a Brewer in this offseason?
That's another good question. I think that's kind of one of the big variables, right? I mean, if you want to deal him, now would be the time to do it because you don't want that trade value to diminish. But again, if you want to package him and Woodruff, I know the injury with Brandon Woodruff might diminish that as well. But I think that's going to be one of the big questions is, do we see Corbin Burnes back in a Brewers uniform? I know the arbitration period coming into this season was a little bit contentious. So will they go through that again and bring him back? I'm not sure, but that being said, if they do not bring him back, how do they really bolster that starting rotation?
Yeah, a lot of questions to be answered for the Brewers. Hopefully, as time goes on here in the next few weeks, we'll get a few more answers. It is halftime. That means it's time for the Fox 6 Blitz Insta Poll. You can go directly to the question by scanning this QR code, or just go to fox6now.com. The question is simple. Do you want Craig Counsell to stay or leave the Brewers? We're looking for your answers, and we will have those throughout the show here as we move on to the second half.
Yes, it looks good, you know, and it's an attractive thing, me and him playing together, the kind of team that we have, but the work has to get done.
There's a lot of hype around the team, and obviously I believe, and I think people believe that we are one of the best teams in the East, but at the end of the day, it's not about what we believe or what people believe. It's about what we do.
And that's exactly it. Giannis Antetokounmpo has said he wants to play for a winner here in Milwaukee as long as they want to be winners. Well, he has it in front of him right now. Today, they have their first preseason game, and those two players, they watched.
They certainly did. And I know it's more of those guys kind of want to get back into the groove of things in terms of their injuries and just getting back into game speed. But that being said, though, Brandon, this was the Bucks' first preseason game. You got to see a lot of the other guys on the team, the second team, the third team guys get some reps in. And I think it was encouraging. They were led by Marjon Beauchamp. Brook Lopez got 12 minutes in the first half as well, along with Bobby Portis. So those guys who normally you'll see on the court got some work in. But Marjon Beauchamp really flashed. He led the team with 18 points. And Coach Adrian Griffin really impressed with him, just his ability, not only on the offensive end, but his ability on the defensive end as well. There you see Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was feasting in the paint there as well. So again, you got to see these other guys that you might not see on a regular night make big contributions, but I think the big emphasis in this game was defense, 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 and you saw that effort from a bunch of these players today.
Did anybody talk about what they've seen from Lillard in practice, how they've seen the play with Giannis? Has that been talked about much at all?
Not particularly, but I think what has really been talked about is just their relationship on the court and what that's going to look like in terms of who's going to lead this team, right? You see Giannis being that main guy with the ball in the court, but he said, I'm perfectly fine giving that role to Damian Lillard. He's going to be the point guard on this team. I want him to facilitate. I know he's going to find me with the basketball, but you kind of have to be just drooling at the prospect of thinking those two guys on the court, what are they going to be able to do? Giannis at the rim, Dame outside shooting, and just the possibilities are endless. And those guys really got some more rapport going on there on the sidelines today watching their team. But it's going to be really fun to see them when they're back on the court.
One of the things that will be interesting to watch, too, is how Adrian Griffin evolves as a head coach. Again, it's his first year as a head coach. He's been a coach in this league for quite a while now, but now he has the reins. What did you see today with how he worked with his lineups, how the guys responded to what he was trying to get done out there?
Yeah, sure. I think it was encouraging because, you saw him out in the court. He's pretty passionate, got guys in multiple huddles. But I think, again, just with how he was talking post-game, it was defense, defense, defense. They want to get this thing shored up. You lose Drew Holiday, you lose Grayson Allen. How do you kind of shore things up on that side? So he emphasized if we want to be a winning team, we got to play defense. And he liked the effort that he saw from those players. But I think, again, he relates so well because he said, hey, I've had to fight for my job. This is what got me here. It's just that fight. And I like that fight in my players as well.
What do you think we're going to see in the preseason? 3 more games on the road and then one last one here in Milwaukee before October 26th when they tip off for real against Philadelphia.
Hopefully we'll see Giannis and Dame in a game or two, right? But then you have Chris Middleton, who's still building up after having offseason knee surgery. So we'll see if he gets any sort of reps in the preseason. If not, hopefully he's ready for that, the Bucks regular season opener against the Sixers. But I do think we see Giannis and Dame maybe in a couple games, but maybe not more so in the first half, but maybe in the last couple games of the preseason. And again, just when they are on the court, what does the offense look like? I think that's going to be the salivating thing, Brandon, because I think a lot of people are anticipating a couple set vets that they could have. And Terry Stotts was with Dame Lillard back in Portland. So what can they draw up from their previous time together there? So a lot of tantalizing options once they kind of get things going. And preseason game number 2 is Tuesday in Memphis.
All right, 18 days till they tip it off for real. Well, coming up, we still have a lot more, including Say What. We'll be right back.
I was telling everybody go home. You feel me? I was like, go home, man. Why y'all still here?
That's a good question.
I mean, give me a little, prep time for a question like that.
It's a little cold for butterflies to be out right now.
Okay, yeah, it just ruined my night.
I just told him, Quay, look, man, if you don't meditate, you're not going to be any good here.
Why is that?
No, I didn't tell him that. I didn't tell him that. Hey.
Oh, welcome back to the Blitz. And we all know a part of Jer Alexander's game is that he likes to meditate. So he's trying to get other guys into that, like Corey Ballantyne. So we'll see if the little meditation helps this Packers team as they look forward to a Monday night matchup with the Raiders. But before we get to Jer Alexander and with the tough task they have in the secondary against a familiar face, there was some big news this week in terms of David Bakhtiari, their star Pro Bowl left tackle. He is not going to be suiting up for the rest of the season, has to get another surgery on his knee. Brandon, was this news expected? And do you believe that we've seen the last of Bakhtiari in a Packers uniform?
He doesn't think so. He thinks that this is going to be the last bit to clean him up and to get him ready to go for next training camp, which is obviously next summer. It is the thing that I think we all kind of thought was going to happen. Once he was placed on the injured reserve, we realized not everything was good with his knee, and he came out and talked about it this week, talking about how he had fluid buildup and it's a cartilage issue, so they figured it out, but it took the time to figure it out. So now he will have to have another surgery, and that'll be his 5th on this knee since he tore his ACL back in December of 2020. So you feel bad for the guy because he keeps putting in the work. He keeps showing up. He's gotten on the field here and there, but in reality, he just has not been able to get back on the field since that ACL tear on a consistent basis because they just haven't been able to make that knee completely heal. So while he is optimistic, I would think that the odds might not be in his favor to get back on the field and play in the NFL as a member of the Packers by next year.
Yeah, which I'm sure a lot of fans are disappointed to see, but that might just be the nature of the business. But luckily, John Runyon and Elton Jenkins are slated to play on Monday night against the Raiders. And Brandon, on the other side of the football, you have Jer Alexander, you have the secondary, who is facing Davante Adams. I know he's a little bit dinged up with that shoulder, but that's going to be a really good matchup on Monday night.
And they know each other well, and that's why I think it's going to be fun. I think this is when you wish they had ISO cameras on certain positions on Monday Night Football so you could see these guys do their battle. And I really think that Davante wants to prove something to the Packers. He wants to show that, hey, he left and wanted out of here for a reason, and he can prove it with the Raiders that night in his mind. On the other side, I think Jer Alexander wants to say, I'm the best there is, and I can shut down the best that we've ever had at that position. So it should be a fun battle head-to-head. I think that the one problem for the Raiders there is most likely it's a very young quarterback that will be throwing to Davante, so he's not going to have Garoppolo there as a veteran presence most likely. But at the same time, I do think that he will find a way to make an impact in this game.
Yeah, he's got 10,000 career receiving yards. Might get a couple more against the Packers. Tim Van Voorn has more on Davante Adams and a big matchup the Packers defense has.
From 2014 to 2021, Davante Adams clocked in for work here, Lambeau Field, becoming one of the best receivers in Packers history.
He's just a worker, man. He comes to practice every day, goes to work. You see him around the building, he's intentional with what he's doing. That kind of thing, just like a real, just quality, really just set example for everybody. That's a guy that you can really come in here and watch and try to, follow what he's doing and get yourself on the right track. So it's definitely a blessing to have played with him. So it was cool.
Wasn't all rosy for Adams, who dropped his share of passes early in his Packers career and drew the ire of Packers fans as a second-round draft choice. Darnell Savage can relate a little bit. He's a first-round draft choice, still waiting to really put it all together in Green Bay.
Everybody's story is different, man. That's the one thing about this thing called life. You just keep going. You keep finding a way. You keep pushing. You learn more about yourself every day, every year. And I think that's what makes it exciting. Just, you always finding out new things and getting better at stuff. So that makes it cool. As long as you keep that mindset, that never kind of satisfied mindset, then you'll be on the right track.
Self-belief.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Always. It has to be that way. Because if you don't believe in you, who else will, right?
Adams stayed the course. Once he arrived in Green Bay, Savage paid attention, and he's trying to follow suit. Monday night, they clash in Las Vegas. Outside Lambeau Field, Tim Van Voren, Fox 6 Sports.
And Tim will be there to witness it all. And again, the Raiders cannot run the football. The Packers can key in there and also focus a little bit on Devontae Adams. The win could be theirs for the taking on Monday night. All right, let's check in on our Instapoll question. You can go directly to that question right now by scanning the QR code on the screen or go to fox6now.com. A simple one here. Do you want Craig Counsell to stay or leave Milwaukee? And the Brewers, we're looking forward to your answers. You're leaning towards stay. Well, the Badgers, continue to win in the Big Ten after knocking off Rutgers 24-13 on Saturday. Braylon Allen and Tucker Ashcraft scored touchdowns, but it was this 95-yard Ricardo Hallman pick six that gave Wisconsin the extra boost they needed. The Badgers can take a 2-game cushion in the West with a win against Iowa on Saturday. That's going to be on Fox 6. It's going to be a fun game. Meanwhile, the high school hotshot is next. Keep it here. Welcome back. His entire family played the sport he would eventually grow up playing himself, but one particular school project gave him the chance to compete in the sports he loves for his high school, and that's this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
My name is Ethan Yetzer. I'm a senior at Ronald Reagan High School, and I play on the South Milwaukee United boys volleyball team. So I've been in the volleyball world since I was born. Both of my parents are big sand players. They've been in leagues since I can remember, bringing me to their games. The second I got into 4th grade, I started playing with Milwaukee Rec. And then when I turned 12, I started playing club volleyball. My sophomore year at Reagan, we had this personal project, the International Baccalaureate Middle Years Program Personal Project. And for my goal for the personal project, I just chose to try to get boys volleyball at Reagan since we never had it in the past. And I just reached out to as many athletic directors as I could in the area. And I was just lucky enough that the athletic director at St. Thomas More and the athletic director at South Milwaukee both responded and were pretty open to accepting us. Yeah, definitely last year we came into the season, nobody expected anything of us. The year before Reagan joined the co-op, they only won 1 match the whole season. When we swept conference, that was kind of a shock. So for our starting lineup, our 2 outsides, me and 1 other, both go to Reagan. Our starting setter goes to Reagan. One of our starting middles goes to St. Thomas More. Our other middle goes to South Milwaukee. Our right side goes to Thomas More, and our libero goes to Thomas More. I've just been passionate about this sport. I really realized how much I love it sophomore year when I was just so disappointed I didn't get to play. That's kind of the moment that I realized, man, I'm really in love with this sport. It's just everything has to be so perfect to really just smash the ball straight down. And it's not just me, it has to be the pass that has to be good. The set has to be right there. It almost feels like poetry. So in every single aspect is so perfect that you get that perfect pass, the set is perfect, and the hit is perfect. It just feels like poetry. It's just awesome. My name is Ethan Yetzer. I'm a senior at Ronald Reagan High School, and I play on the South Milwaukee United boys volleyball team. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
And Ethan plans to attend UW-Stevens Point to study business and, of course, to keep on playing volleyball. Well, the high school football season is rolling along, and after Week 8, here's our Fox 6 High School Blitz Play of the Week. And Pius's Cal Joseph, his 90-yard touchdown, that provides all the fireworks. It's going to be an electric score. Great job. Well, the postseason is almost here as teams wrap up their regular seasons this week. Our Fox 6 Game of the Week features 2 unbeaten teams in a Classic 8 battle as Muskego takes on Kettle Moraine. We'll also be at Iola Scandinavia and Kingdom Prep Lutheran, Milwaukee Reagan and Milwaukee South, St. Francis and Catholic Central, Westosha Central and Badger, Racine St. Cat's versus University School, and Catholic Memorial taking on Tosa West. We'll have much more after this break with a look at the week ahead.
We have asked, you have answered, and most of you want Craig Counsell to stay in Milwaukee. I know most of you also want a Packers win this week.
That's true. We'll see if the Packers can improve to 3-2. Again, they're in Las Vegas on Monday night, and Tim Van Voren will have some live reports out from Las Vegas tomorrow.
And the Badgers host Iowa on Saturday. It's right here on Fox 6 with a 3 o'clock kickoff. So a lot going on football-wise. For Lily Zhao, Tim Van Voren, I'm Brandon Cruz. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.